Hey there gang, welcome to Friday Q&A for another week. As always, if you've got questions for next week, please let me know about it in the comments. Ask me absolutely anything you like and I'll do my best to get back to you. And having said that, I've got to answer last week's questions, so let's do that right now. What's my take on Harley Benton? I don't really have a take. It just seems that, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're nonsense any more than like, a Squier guitar is nonsense or an Epiphone guitar is nonsense. If that's what you think, then of course the Harley stuff's probably going to be nonsense like a bunch of other stuff. But it seems like they're just trying to plug a gap in the market like a bunch of other manufacturers are doing at the moment, where obviously Thomann is the brand behind all of it. They've got all their sort of marketing infrastructure and stuff like that, and also sort of the supply in Europe. Thomann has nothing to do with Australia, so I've never dealt with them. I may never deal with them, which certainly wouldn't bother me because there's, lots of other distributors, especially here in Australia, and of course for most of you who are watching who are in the US. So, do I have a take on Harley Benton? Not really. I would still like to try one, because I've watched a bunch of videos where people are kind of raving about them. I saw, there was like a Thomann video this week with Rob Chapman playing a bunch of them, and yeah, there was some pretty good sounds, and yeah, I don't know, like, again, I wouldn't necessarily say it's nonsense without trying them. Maybe you've tried one and it totally sucks. So if you're a Harley Benton guy, or you're not a Harley Benton guy, let me know about it in the comments as well, and yeah, you guys let me know what you think with no filter, please. No name stock pickups. Yeah, whatever works, man. I always think that we're so wrapped up in guitar gear that we forget that the point is just to get something that inspires us and to go and make some music. So if you've got no-name stock pickups and they work, that's awesome. The only issue I have with no-name stock pickups is because they're no-name, it's sort of like the consistency thing. Like, if you find one that you really like and you want to chuck them in all your guitars, how are you going to source them? So whereas with, if you find a Seymour Duncan that you like, that you can just go to their website or go on eBay or go to a shop and order them, and you're going to be able to get them. So, the recipe is, it's not like the secret herbs and spices. The recipe's there for like a Duncan or basically any brand that's not a no-name thing, right? Whereas, I don't know, if you got your Harley Benton guitar and it's got a no-name pickup in it, but you think the pickup sounds great, it might be a little bit difficult to try and find the exact one again, but use what sounds good. Do I know the guys from Chaos Divine? Yeah, I do. I should get them on here if that interests you guys, because I, A, absolutely love their music, and B, absolutely love their guitar tones. And they were one of the first local bands I ever saw live about 12 years ago, and they've just gone from strength to strength, which is pretty awesome. And as a fun fact, I actually bought my Axe-Fx Ultra from Ryan from Chaos, because he got an AX8 and he was selling his Ultra, and I wanted to get into the digital modeling stuff. Got my Ultra, changed my life. So yeah, those guys are pretty awesome, and in the past they've borrowed a bunch of my gear to do some tracking, and they work with a lot of the same people that I know, and yeah, they're generally good guys. So listen to their music because it's awesome, and they're people who deserve the success that's coming to them. So yeah, I should get them in on here and, play some Axe-Fx stuff or something like that. That might be pretty interesting. Which expression pedal would I recommend with the atomic amplifier? I use a Mission SP1, which has a switch in it, which is kind of cool, because that way you can use a switch for boosts and, assign it to whatever you like. But the Mission stuff's really good. Fractal make a really good what do they call it, the EV1 and the EV2, like a sort of high-end, basically expression pedal that also doubles up as an analog volume pedal. So out of those, it just kind of depends if you want like the traditional wah thing or you want more of a modern streamlined thing. Otherwise, if you're on a budget, I think it's the Moog EP3, or Moog as it should be pronounced. EP3 or EP30 or something like that is a pretty effective, cheap expression pedal that a lot of people seem to really like. What's the best way to change live presets on your Axe-Fx? So it depends. Are you using an Axe-Fx Ultra, in which case you do have to change presets, or are you using an Axe-Fx 2 or 3, which have presets, but they also have scenes? So what I would recommend, the best way to set all of that up, is to use scenes. Scenes are like a preset within a preset. And you could use, an external foot switch and plug it into the pedal jack on the Axe-Fx 3, but the best way to do it is either to, you know, hold out and get one of the FC controllers. I just got an FC6 and it's amazing. Or get a MIDI controller and use that to change scenes. So you can have 8 scenes in a preset. And the way I normally use it, like on my AX8 anyway, now with the FC, is I basically just have 4 scenes per preset, and normally every gig I do I basically just use the one preset, and that seems to do the trick. So scenes are the way to go if you're on a 2, a 3, or an AX8. Otherwise, if you're on the Axe-Fx Ultra, it'll be preset switching, and maybe just organize the presets in the order they come in your set, so you can just have a simple toggle up and down button. That might be an effective way to do it. Have I tried the ISP Theta or preamp pedal? No. Where can you buy my albums? The best place to go is to go to ragdollrock.bandcamp.com. That's where we make the most money, but if you're in Australia, our album is out through Firestarter, so you can go and buy it at JB Hi-Fi. You can go and buy it at a bunch of different stores, either online or in the store. And our record is also out through Bad Reputation in Europe. So if you're in Europe, go to their website and order it. And yeah, Eric from Bad Reputation has really looked after us in the past, and he's responsible for getting us to tour over there, and hopefully we will be able to go and tour over there really soon. Otherwise, anywhere else in the world, go to Bandcamp, and I personally mail them out. I do like a mail out once a fortnight, so that's where you can go and get some sweet, sweet ragdoll music. So regarding the live clips that I posted from Cherry Bar, no, we don't take our own PA to gigs like that. Most venues like that have their own in-house PA. That place has got a pretty decent PA for such a small place, so it means that I can literally take a guitar and my AX8, walk in, plug it in, and it's going to sound great. We do a lot of country shows here in WA though, where we're not necessarily playing in like bars or clubs. You'll be playing at a bar, but you'll be playing on an outside stage, and they might not have a permanent PA set up, in which case we have a, you know, PA with a sub that basically we run everything into, and yeah, I still do direct guitar there and everything on in-ears, which is very, very handy. Saves a lot of space on the floor, and more importantly, space in the car. And the other part of the question, with the 2290 delay for the lead stuff, I normally set the feedback at around 20 or 25%. I'm going to break down a lick from that song in the right at the end for Lick of the Week, and yeah, I'll break down that preset. Actually, I already have broken down that preset on the AX8 with the Uberschall, but I'll break it down with the Axe-Fx3 as well, because I'm in the process of basically transporting everything over to my Axe-Fx3 so I can start using it live. What kind of beer do they drink in Western Australia? I'm the worst person to ask because I don't drink, but you know, I've been playing in a band for nearly 12 years now, so I'm often the guy sorting out the rider and carrying the drinks over and throwing people over my shoulder and chucking them in the van when it's like time to go home, you know, the life of a designated driver. But no one drinks Foster's. Foster's is piss. You wouldn't be caught dead with it. And having said that, that's because West Australians like to drink a lot of really terrible beer. Emu Export is like the filthy beer of choice. You've also got Swan Draft. That's another great West Australian beer. But I think they're sort of like the beer of choice. Like if you're in a bar here in Australia, you need to buy someone a beer and you don't know what they like, it's probably just to get them a Corona. Like how boring is that, especially if you're in, you know, the United States. And there's been like a slow trickle of like American beers flow in, but yeah, Australians love to drink, so there's always a massive selection of beer, wine, spirits, everything you can imagine. Just about everybody's like a functioning alcoholic here. So yeah, I think they're like the defining like filth West Australian beer is Emu Export. If you're in Victoria, it'd be like Melbourne Bitter or Victoria Bitter. And then there's a bunch of like craft beers are really big here as well. There's a brewery here in Fremantle, which is like just south of Perth, called Little Creatures, which has been really, really popular and done really well. So if you're ever in Perth, go down to Freo and go to Little Creatures, and because it's just a cool place. Yeah, and Little Creatures aren't even paying me, but maybe I'll have to hit them up and they can become my new sponsor. Wouldn't that be funny? That would be like getting sponsored by a drum company or something. Here's a fun tuning for you guys to try out. I'll try to add one of these every week, as long as I can keep thinking of them. But normally I play a lot of stuff in drop C, so here's a variation of that. Drop C, of course, would be D, A, F, C, G, and then C. But instead of tuning to C, tune it all the way down to A. If you're doing, say, just standard drop D, then you could tune this guy to B, and it's going to give you like a pseudo 7-string kind of thing. The only thing to line up is to realize that now your octave, so if you hit your low string, your octave is going to be the 2nd fret. There's a bunch of Alter Bridge songs in this tuning as far as I remember, and yeah, it's just a really good one for sort of, you know, if you want to get like a 7-string kind of sound, if you're doing djenty stuff but you don't have a 7 or an 8. And, you know, you can either play the minor scale on this string and sort of play it. So yeah, and like I said, if you're in standard tuning, it's going to be standard tuning with a low B, which is super fun, or take it all down a whole step and you get this, it's not drop A, but it's like a usable drop A if you're playing a guitar that isn't a baritone. This string does get super floppy. I'm using 10 to 52s, so you might want to chuck like a 56 or a 60 on there if you want to live in this tuning. But yeah, have some fun with that one. Go and write some riffs. Lick of the week, we are looking at a lick from the Ragdoll song Rewind Your Mind. I'm in drop C, so if you're playing along in standard, just move everything down 2 frets. This is the lick. It is based around a dominant 7th arpeggio. Really, it's, to me, I would just think of this as Mixolydian. So it's going to be the 9th fret on the 3rd string, the 10th fret on the 2nd string, and then 9, 12 on the top string as a little sweep shape. If you've done like any sweep picking stuff before, you'll recognize this shape. It should be really familiar. And if you haven't done any sweep picking before, this is a really good one to practice. Getting that kind of stuff happening. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull off to 9 and then hammer on 10, 12. So this. Then I'm going to tap with my middle finger. I'll reach over and tap 17 and pull off to 9. So, and 17 is actually the root note of this arpeggio. So far. Then I'm going to hammer on 9, 12 and pull off 10, 9. Then I'm going to repeat that sort of thing, but instead of hitting 17, I'm going to hit 15. 15 is the dominant 7th interval, so this. So we get this. And of course, when you tap, try to plant your finger and then flick it like so. So you're essentially picking it again. There's a lot going on in this lick, but I think it's a really good one to sort of, you know, if you want to get into sweeping and tapping and legato and that kind of hybrid approach, it's a really good one. It's basically one that I kind of figured out and I use it all the time. So, and then what we're going to do, I don't actually sweep back, I just hammer on. So I'm going to hammer on 10 on the 2nd string, 9 on the 3rd string, 11 on the 4th string, and then 12 on the 5th string, which completes the major arpeggio going back down. That kind of thing, which is really cool. So coming back, I always find doing a hammer-on from nowhere is good when you're moving onto a lower string, and it's not so good going the other way. So you want to pick going this way and hammer on going that way. It's a pretty cool hybrid approach. The lick slowed down is this. And of course, playing with a low action helps that a lot. The way the solo is structured is basically it's a call and response style thing. The call phrase is the same every time. It'd be 6, 7, 9 on the 3rd string, and then 8 on the 2nd string, which is a major 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and then the dominant 7th. So very, very clear mixolydian tonality. And yeah, there's also 3 other response phrases. This is the 3rd response phrase. And the rest of it's pretty straightforward, just a couple of bends. So yeah, if you want to go and learn the rest of that solo, you know, get the tuning, that's the tricky lick, and basically you'll be able to figure out the rest of it. And if you're super awesome, put up a video of it and I'll send you something really nice. So this would be the call and the response in this song. You can hear there's a bit of noise, which is about as, you know, I'd be lucky if I play it that well live. So I'll slow it down one more time and then I'll say goodbye to you guys. Thanks for watching.